I just want to say that I cannot believe what I'm seeing, what I'm showing you tonight. I made this video late tonight because I wanted, this is all I'm going to be talking about for the rest of the night. In the memory of Terry Funk and Wyndham Rotunda, otherwise known as Bray Wyatt, who passed away yesterday. I will detail and the fact, and we will go into all of the of the great um of the great memories of Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk. I didn't know how to start the video really. It's sad, it's heartbreaking, it's depressing. And you guys know Bray Wyatt had passed away yesterday. Um he passed away yesterday due to a heart attack at the age of 36. A very young age, very young. He left behind his fiancee Jojo, his 4 children, his friends, his family. Terry Funk also passed away 2 days ago. Um, it's just sad and heartbreaking that this is happening. I will show you what happened because Smackdown, they had to change Smackdown. They had to rewrite the show and change it to something because we had to honor Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk. So they had to scrap a few things. They scrapped the Bloodline segment. They scrapped Jimmy Uso. They had to change a few matches. And to honor this, we did get the we got the 10 bell salute for Bray Wyatt and WWE Hall of Famer Terry Funk. I will show you the 10 bell scene, and that's it. I'm only gonna show you a few parts in this video, so you guys can see the entire locker room, the whole walkthrough out there. This is the entire walkthrough that was out there. Now you see Cody Rhodes was on the show. Triple H in the middle. Look at the other two. You see Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman been out with a neck injury. He had neck surgery. He was there to honor Bray Wyatt and Eric Warren, which was also shocking. Eric Warren was there. So we had 2 members of the Wyatt family. The only 2 members of the Wyatt family are Braun Strowman and Eric Warren. This is heartbreaking. It kind of reminds me of when Brody Lee passed away, and I remember seeing Eric Warren at AEW. He was on a stage with everyone else to honor his best friend. Cause you know how much Eric Warren and Luke Harper were. They were best friends. They were in the Wyatt family. They were tag team champions. And there was a scene. I don't know if I'm gonna show it, but there was a scene where Braun Strowman hugged Eric Warren, and you saw them getting emotional. You saw them tearing up. It is awful. Seeing everyone there so depressing, so sad. Um, Jimmy, so the entire arena is silent. You see all the people in their phones. And this is what ended the show. And this is how the show ended after the main event was over. Oh wait, hold on. I'm just gonna show you how the show ended. And it was a great ending of SmackDown to tribute to Bray Wyatt to pay respect and honor him. You saw the light and the picture of Bray Wyatt. Crowd would chant, "Thank you, Bray." Now earlier in the show, they were chanting, "He got the whole world in his hands. He got the whole wide world in his hands." That's what I was saying earlier. And tonight they chant, "Thank you, Bray." They show a screen of him standing in the center of the ring, and it looks like he had wings. You see, like the wings on the screen. And then they show the lamp that he always carried around. Bray Wyatt passing away, and the gone. It was very hard to watch. It was emotional. But tonight was all about Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk. We paid tribute to Bray. They also made a video of the best of Bray Wyatt. Now, the best part that I was really shocked about is that actually wanted to say that during the 10 bell salute, the WWE had Bray Wyatt chair. They had the Bray Wyatt chair, which I thought was good. That's what they showed during early in the show. They had Bray Wyatt chair. Bray Wyatt chair. That was very emotional. You know, Bray Wyatt loved that chair. That's what got him over. And this is all the podcasters, um, all the podcasters, YouTubers talking about it. The death and legacy of Bray Wyatt. I will show you JD from New York. Um, Fightful Wrestling Inc. Post Wrestling, Just Allen, Salamander, and then we had two videos of the celebration for the legendary career of Terry Funk and paid tribute to Bray Wyatt. I'm not gonna show it because it did music, and I don't want to get a copyright strike. I had to remake the video because I showed too much of that video of the Bray Wyatt tribute. So I'm definitely gonna switch it back so y'all can see my face as I can get my thoughts and feelings about Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk, and then we'll go over the careers of both of these men. Oh, what happened? I don't know what happened here. Alright, had to fix that. It's just very emotional. It's very emotional. Think that Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda is no longer here with us. Terry Funk is not here with us. I just want to say I'm shocked because he passed away yesterday from a heart attack. As you guys know, Bray Wyatt has not been on TV since February. Bray Wyatt's last match in WWE was the pitch black match with LA Knight at the Royal Rumble back in January. And while the match wasn't that good, and then Bray Wyatt, he did wrestle a house show match with Jinder Mahal. Last time we saw him on Smackdown was back in February with Uncle Howdy to tease a match with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. And then we saw Uncle Howdy on TV, then we saw the vignettes, and then he got pulled from SmackDown because of COVID complications. He had a serious illness, a life-threatening illness that he was dealing with. Bray Wyatt, they said he was almost clear he was going to come back on TV. We thought it's going to be on Smackdown, and it's going to be on Raw. We don't know. And then we find out on Twitter, like Triple H found out, he got a call from Ted Rotunda, Bray Wyatt's father. Said that Bray Wyatt, otherwise, cause this is the like hold on for a second. Hold on. Hold on. And this is what Triple H said. Yesterday, we got the news about Terry Funk. Oh, that's gonna show. All right, here we go. And this is what Triple H said on Twitter. Just received a call from WWE Hall of Famer Mike Rotunda, who is Bray Wyatt's father, who informed us of the tragic news. The WWE family member for life of Wyndham Rotunda, otherwise known as Bray Wyatt, unexpectedly passed earlier. Our thoughts are with his family, and we ask that everyone respect their privacy at this time. That was yesterday, and that what happened. Bray Wyatt passed away. Um, that was the shock. I didn't think I would. I didn't want to believe it. I did not want to believe it. I could not believe what I just saw. Bray Wyatt passed away. Bray Wyatt is gone. Now I will let you. I will show some YouTubers here. Solomon, JD from New York, Fightful. I will show all the other guys so y'all can hear how they react in their commentary, and then I'll get right back to it. Just after a very long time. That is one of the most shocking things, frankly, that I've come online to read when it. This is the Solomon sound off. He's gonna give his thoughts and his feelings about what happened. Comes to this sort of thing, and we've had a lot of examples of this, unfortunately, in wrestling over the years, and a lot of young premature wrestling for a whole host of different reasons. And it wasn't stated in the tweet exactly what the situation was, what the nature of his passing was, but a little while ago, got a little bit of clarity on that from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, who posted on Twitter. Now, this is coming from him. He posted this a short time ago. And he stated that I was given permission to reveal that earlier this year, Wyndham Rotunda Bray Wyatt got COVID that exacerbated a heart issue. There was a lot of positive progress towards return and his recovery. Unfortunately, today he suffered a heart attack and he passed away. And so that is apparently what happened with Bray Wyatt and why he passed away so suddenly and unexpectedly earlier today. 36 years old. And 4 children at home, 2 daughters from a previous marriage, 2 kids with JoJo Offerman, former ring announcer for WWE, whom he met in WWE. They got married a few years ago. They had 2 kids of their own, a 4-year-old little boy and a 3-year-old girl. So many of his kids are very small, which only makes a situation like this even worse when you have little kids. Obviously, it's terrible no matter what. But reading that is a, I mean, what do you say? You know, it's a punch to the gut whenever you read something like that.
at first, your first inclination is to check and make sure that Triple H isn't hacked. Could this be true? This can't be true. Um, One of the first things I thought of, honestly, after I saw the news, just thinking about this whole situation, uh, was Brody Lee, and another member of the Wyatt family, a
Yep.
very close friend of Bray's, who also passed away unexpectedly, tragically, far too young. He was 41 years old. It was only 3 years ago, around Christmas time, that he passed away. And I know how much that impacted Bray. And I know that because he talked about it. He was open about it. And it's the reason why he said he never wanted to go back to the old Wyatt family gimmick. When he first started the Wyatt family in NXT and they brought it to the main roster, he was the cult leader and he had the Hawaiian shirt. And there have been people who have said, oh, you should go back to that. He made it very clear he didn't want to do that because he felt it would be disrespecting his friend. Because his friend was as much part of that as any of the three of them were. And to him, it just would not have felt right to go back to that incarnation of the character without Brody. And, you could tell just from the look on his face and the sound of his voice when he would talk about Brody, how much that really had an impact on him. And the thought that 2/3 of the Wyatt family now are gone is just. I can't imagine what Eric Rowan must be going through. Obviously, his family, but I can't imagine what his colleagues and his friends, someone like Eric Rowan, who you saw how emotional he was on the Brody Lee tribute show that AEW did a few years ago. And I'm sure someone like him getting this news, it's just awful. I mean, there really is no other word to describe it except his death. Uh, Now, he had been away from the ring since February. The last time he was in the ring for a match was the end of February. He had a series of live event matches with LA Knight coming out of the match they had at the Royal Rumble. And it was earlier this month, it was only a few weeks ago, that Fightful had a report on their website that indicated that it was the illness that he was suffering. It was not a physical injury like a torn muscle or a concussion or something like that you would expect, or a knee injury that might keep someone out for an extended period of time. It was some sort of illness. And Fightful indicated that the illness was both career threatening and potentially life threatening. And I think for a lot of people who are wondering, where's Bray Wyatt? What's going on with Bray Wyatt? How come he's been gone for so long? Is it a creative issue or is there really an illness? What's the deal here? When that report came out a few weeks ago, I think that hit home with a lot of people and they realized how serious the situation really was. But the indication from that report was that he was doing much better. And WWE was just being extra cautious with him. Being extra cautious with him because they just didn't want to take any chances. Obviously, they knew how serious the situation was. We didn't. They didn't want to disclose that information. That's certainly not something they have to do. If they don't want to disclose it, they don't have to disclose it. But they were taking their time. They were not rushing back into things. I'm sure it was very frustrating for him, having just come back, and then to be sidelined for so many months. There was another report out recently that maybe he would appear at SummerSlam, and obviously that never happened. But there were a lot of things kind of bubbling up. You heard about creative ideas being pitched for him, and there could be something potentially as soon as next month for him to come back to the company, which would be almost a year to the month that he made his return. But they were just waiting on him to be cleared. I think back to an interview that Mike Rotunda did just recently. It was at one of these conventions, and Bill Apple briefly went over to talk to Mike Rotunda. And Mike Rotunda, for those who don't know, Bray's father, famous wrestler in his own right. He was IRS for many years in WWE and Michael Wall Street, WCW, for those who don't know. So Bill Apter said, look, I'm going to ask you the $1 million question. Everybody wants to know what's going on with Bray Wyatt. And this was only maybe 2 weeks ago. And the quote that he gave Bill after was, "You read a lot of stuff on the internet, which I would not believe a lot of, or in my case, any of it. Bray Wyatt, I'm sure he'll return to WWE, hopefully shortly, and we'll go." So he didn't give away a lot of information there, but he sounded optimistic. Uh, that Bray would be back relatively soon. Uh, he was supposed to wrestle Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. That was the plan, and I don't think this is the time to get into the specifics of the creative, whether or not he should have been doing that or something else. That's irrelevant. But he was scheduled to have a match at WrestleMania, and it was right around that period of time that he disappeared. Right, early March is when he disappeared from television, and we didn't see him. There was no mention of him. But clearly, they were building to something with him and the Uncle Howdy stuff, which was going to be his brother Bo Dallas, and I feel obviously I'm gutted for him as well, and his sister Mika, the whole family. I just can't imagine what they're going through. But whatever it was, the issue bubbled up around that time. That's when he disappeared, and there had been radio silence for a very long time, and I know that even from messages that I got and questions asking me about Bray, there were people who were big fans of his who were wondering, what's going on. They were concerned, speculating about what may or may not be. Um, every now and then you would see a picture on social media of a fan who saw Bray. He was out walking. He was at the supermarket or something. He was really cool with them, and he would snap a photo. And so you knew that he was, he was doing relatively okay if he's, out and about. And then to get this kind of news is shocking. And I know that there were a lot of people on that WWE roster who worked with him, and in some cases who may have come up with him through developmental, who have nothing but positive things to say. And just scanning through some of their tweets in just the last hour, the outpouring of messages, and I saw stuff from Big E, just so many people on the WWE roster. Uh, imagine what they're going through. Imagine what's going through their heads. And somebody they work with who is the same age as them, and seemingly, still in the prime of his career as far as what he could have accomplished. Just like that, he's done. When I think back on his career, he did stuff prior to the Wyatt family, came up in developmental, and there was, different gimmick changes that he went through. But the original Wyatt family concept is what got him in the door on the WWE main roster. That's where they really hit the jackpot creative.
And
we saw Bray Wyatt, and we saw.
And that's where I believe that the Wyatt family was over. Bray Wyatt signed with WWE in 2009, and he signed with WWE in 2009. He came in as Husky Harris. He was in the New Nexus, and then that lasted like a few months until he got called back to NXT to rebuild the character into Bray Wyatt. He debuted in 2012, and then in 2013 that's when he made main roster debut. And his in-ring debut was at SummerSlam 2013. We wrestled Kane in the Inferno match. And that's where he got a big win. That's where he got over. And 2014, in my opinion, was the best year for the Wyatt family. He had that great match with Daniel Bryan. I love the story when Daniel Bryan was in the Wyatt family and how over that the Wyatt family was getting. And the great match they had at the Royal Rumble. That is Bray Wyatt's best match in his entire career with Daniel Bryan at the 2014 Royal Rumble. And then at the Elimination Chamber 2014, we had the Wyatt family and the Shield. That was a phenomenal six-man match. That was great, even though they were both heels. The crowd loved it. They chanted, "This is awesome." Both teams were over, and the Wyatt family won. They got momentum, and then at WrestleMania 30, that's when he had a match with John Cena. They had a feud for about 3 months. to get Bray Wyatt over. I don't think Bray should have won that match. WrestleMania 30, it would have done more for him than did for Cena. And I do remember that Luke Harper and Eric Rowan were a great tag team, and they had great matches with the Usos. They won the tag team titles. I believe it was at Battleground 2014. I believe. And Luke Harper was the one that was elevated. To me, I think it was Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt. Those were the two guys who were elevated first in the Wyatt family. Luke Harper established himself as a single. Like, after the Wyatt family broke up, Luke Harper was the Intercontinental Champion in late 2014. He had a great match with Dolph Ziggler at TLC in 2014. That was one of Luke Harper's best matches. That was a great ladder match. I loved that match. They elevated Luke Harper.
Luke Harper, and we saw Eric Rowan make their debut.
Yeah.
This point, we're in 2023 now. So we're going back a decade, or a little over a decade, when we first saw the Wyatt family on television. And it clicked. It was something unique, the vignettes that they shot, the character that he was playing, it reminded me of Nick Nolte. I forgot, or maybe I'm thinking of De Niro, but the character from Cape Fear, clearly a true inspiration from Mercy as well.
Yeah.
There were different inspirations for that original Wyatt character, but came up to the main roster, and I look back on his career, and again, I'm just going off the cuff here, but one of the things I always think of first, and I always sing the praises of their matches together, the Wyatt family and there are a lot of parallels between all of the people in those factions. But you think of Roman Reigns and the path that he was going down as the chosen one who got the big push. And for a period of time there, for a while, it looked like Bray Wyatt and he were neck and neck. It looked like, what kind of John Cena and Randy Orton were for their era of WWE during that TVPG era. That maybe this next era would be led by Roman Reigns on one side and Bray Wyatt. Remember that one match they had on television where they were tag team partners? Bray, I think his sister Abigail was going for the pin and kind of pointed. Somebody was coming after him, and Roman speared the other guy. It was just one of those moments that I still have in my brain. And I thought to myself, that's pretty cool. That we could be looking at the future with these two in this company. But the Wyatt family and the Shield, they first put those two factions together. And really, I think at that point there were still two heel factions, but the crowd was sort of naturally gravitating towards the Shield. The electricity in the air when they did their initial standoff on television was just fantastic. And they had that first six-man tag match, the Elimination Chamber. So I guess by that point, maybe the Shield was kind of in babyface. That was Elimination Chamber in 2014. And it's just everything that I love about pro wrestling. When those two teams came together, and just the way the crowd reacted before they even touched, it was something special. And they had a couple of other matches on television as well, but I always think back to that Elimination Chamber. I think back also to Bray working with Bryan Danielson. And they did the whole angle where Daniel Bryan. But they did the whole angle where Daniel Bryan joined the Wyatt family. It was very short-lived. But one of the all-time great moments in Monday Night Raw was the cage match. And it was Bray and Bryan, I believe, against the Usos. And that would have been January 2014. And they did the angle when the match was over after they lost. And Bryan broke away from the Wyatt. Just remember, it's one of those moments that if you're going to make a ranking of the top 25, top 30, or top 50 moments in Raw history, you have to not only have that on the list, but certainly on my list, it's going to be pretty high. That's one of those special moments. Watching Bryan break free. And then going to the Rumble and Bryan giving Bray, honestly, one of the best matches of his entire career. And it just felt like Bray was on his. Right, there was something unique about him in that character, and he was just like Roman was. Bray was on. there were bumps in the road along the way. We don't have to get into all of it. But I think back, and I also remember the Randy Orton angle when he joined the Wyatt. Luke Harper, very um, cautious, kind of letting his guard down around Randy Orton, not fully trusting him. It was pretty clear what Orton was doing at the time. He was kind of infiltrating the group. But that was around the time, that was the Elimination Chamber in 2017 when Bray won the WWE Championship. And I remember that being actually an excellent Elimination Chamber. I think Cena was in there, AJ Styles was in there, and Bray won the title. And then from there, Orton broke out of the Wyatt family, and he wasn't the champion for 30. And there were certainly missteps along the way as far as creating, dropping the ball. Things that they could have done with him, I think that would have elevated him to a higher level than he attained. But then we get to and it's completely different, chapter of his career. You kind of leave the old Wyatt family character behind, and now we have, which was something, completely different than anything anybody else in the company was doing at the time. And I remember in those early days, it was something that I thought was very unique in a positive way. I was intrigued by the Firefly Funhouse vignettes, stuff with the puppets. Yeah, it was goofy, but again, it was goofy, but almost in kind of a disturbing way. I was intrigued. Maybe it's the horror, and I don't know. But clearly, there was a lot of creativity and little Easter eggs that you would leave in those segments. Again, when it comes to the booking, unfortunately, things in the end did not work out probably the way that he had envisioned. But for a while there, he had some great success with the Fiend character. And then he got released. Then he got fired. And it felt like a fall from grace. Here's somebody who, years earlier, I thought he and Roman might be the two that kind of lead that era of the company. And Roman was on his way because he was the chosen one. And Bray did not reach those same heights. And then Bray was out of the company. And it was met with a lot of shock at the time. There were a lot of releases in WWE around that time. And I talked about them plenty at that time, Bray being one of them.
I don't know worth him being released. Honestly, I think this is worth him dying. Like a lot of us were sad and angry and sad that he was released 2 years ago, and him not being here with us it's just awful. Him no longer being around. He's not on WWE television. He's gone. It's just unspeakable. It's just awful.
Then eventually, all roads lead back to WWE. As they do in a lot of cases. Braun Strowman is another one who was released and eventually he came back. And Braun is another one who was a part of the Wyatt family. And I'm sure he and Alexa Bliss and all the people who work with Bray, I'm sure are very just not in a good way right now. But he did make his way back. And we had that White Rabbit campaign with the QR codes and everything. Everybody thought it was Bray, but we weren't sure. It was building to something. But what it built to was his return last year at Extreme Rules. And if you saw that show after the main event, when the lights went out and the door appeared, the door swung open, pulled the mask off, heard the crowd. And I'm sure that reaction for him was in some ways vindication of, you made a mistake getting rid of me. Now I'm going to prove to you what you were missing out. I'm sure it was a great feeling for him. And I know it was, because I think back to the first promo that he did on Smackdown following his return lunch. And I pulled some of the text from it because I thought it was one of the best promos that he's ever done. Not because it was, had a lot of dialogue to it. It was very long. Just because it was a side of that character that we had never been exposed to before. He was always playing the character. He was playing the cult leader character. He was playing the Fiend. He was always playing some other part. This was the first time where he seemingly was really allowed to be himself. And he said it in the promo. And he said, "This is me, genuine me for the first time. I lost my career. I I lost two people who were very, very close to me. One of those people being Mark.
Yep.
And I lost my wife. It got to a point where I thought that everything had ever done here was all meaningless. Nothing I ever did had mattered to anyone, and I was wrong. Thank you. You all saved me. That was his message to the fans less than a year ago. And I think there was a lot more truth to that promo than maybe some people realized at the time. Yes, it was feeding into whatever this Uncle Howdy story was, but to me, that was as close to a shoot on live television that we ever got from Bray Wyatt. Because I am sure that that was real emotion on his part, and those were probably his real feelings. You know, he did go through a period of time there where he lost some very important people in his life, and I'm sure he was very depressed, as anybody would be. You know, it makes you question your own mortality. These are young people we're talking about, you know, in their mid 30s, late 30s, early 40s, people who I mean, literally, they've lived half their lives, right? They should have a whole other half of their lives left. And that coupled with the release and probably him second guessing himself and people saying all sorts of things about him after he got cut, I'm sure that it messed with his head. Maybe it made him second guess himself. So his return last year, when he initially came back, as far as the business that he did, as far as ratings and social media interest and all those metrics that you measure all of those things by, was through the roof. And it looked like this was going to be another lease on life for him. And unfortunately, you know, here we are less than a year later and it didn't work out. And that's an understatement. We're not talking about him not getting a push or him getting buried or him, all that nonsense that we sometimes talk about. We're talking about the fact that he's no longer here.
Yeah.
There were things going on that we were not privy to that were far more serious than anybody knew anything about. I'm not even sure how many people on the roster about what was going on. I'm sure that information will come out in the days ahead. But again, you know, for those who might be a while later saying that he was given permission to reveal that earlier this year, Wyatt got COVID, which exacerbated a heart issue. I'm not sure if that was a heart issue that was caused by COVID or if that was some pre-existing issue they didn't know he had. That I don't know. But it exacerbated a heart issue. And there were a lot of positive signs that he would be able to make a comeback very soon. Looked like he was on the mend and he seemingly was doing better and doing well. And then earlier today, he suffered a fatal heart attack. And that is that is all that we know. I hate doing stories like this. But that is all that we know at this point. And I just thought, you know, obviously I'm going to talk more about Bray this weekend. Maybe we'll have a little more information at that point, but you know, it's just one of those things where I have so many things going through my head, and then people wanted to, you know, share comments of their own, and I said, why don't we just go live for a little bit? You guys can share your thoughts, and I can share mine. We can get out of here. Impact on the company, you know, were there things that should have been done with him, or were there things maybe that he should have accomplished that he didn't? Sure, you can say that about a lot of different people. But when you look back on his career, you look back on his body of work, in the period of time that he was in WWE on the main roster, he accomplished more than most people will get into the wrestling business. I mean, really, think about the different things that he did and the different matches and feuds and programs that he was a part of, championships that he held, and the different incarnations of his character and just the way. Look, we have people that are in our live chat every week who is still very raw.
Which is sad. Now I'm gonna show y'all JD from New York.
Man, what a day. What a day. This is something a little bit different for you guys. I don't really have my entire setup with me here in the United Kingdom. I did not want to carry it around a lot with me. Got my camera, got my microphone, got my headset, got my laptop, and I have all of you guys here in the United Kingdom. I can't wait to meet you all on Saturday night. It should be fun. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be here. I had a great day today. I walked around the city. I had some great coffee. I had some great cold beverages. Adult cold beverages. Had some great food. You know, some of you guys said that you don't know what cacio e pepe is. Quite Italian food, man. I got on the plane last night around 7:30, and I sat on the plane waiting to take off for about an hour and 15 minutes. Watching some YouTube videos, and I was trying to keep myself busy because I don't like to fly, and my nerves were, pretty much up there, anticipating takeoff, anticipating a long flight here to the UK. And all of a sudden, I get a phone call from my friend Keith, and he lives in Florida. Now, my friend Keith doesn't call me. He texts regularly. He's a big wrestling fan. He's a fan of the show. I've known him since first grade. He calls me, and he tells me, "Did you hear the news? Did you hear what happened?" I'm like, "Bro, what are you talking about? What happened? I'm getting ready to take off, getting ready to go to the United Kingdom for All In. What happened?" He's like, "Did you hear what happened?" I'm like, "The fuck happened? Please tell me what happened." He's like, "Bray's gone." "Bray's gone? What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know he's out. He's supposed to come back. They're getting ready to clear him." He's like, "No, Bray's dead." I didn't know what I was listening to on this phone call. Like, as soon as he said those words, I was mortified. And I hung up with him because now at that point, I need to go and see what's happening on Twitter. And I see, the first thing that I see is Triple H. Triple H tweets, and he tweets out that he's heard from Bray's father, Mike Rotunda, one of my favorites of all time, IRS. And he said that he heard from Mike Rotunda and that Wyndham has sadly passed on. I started seeing an outpouring of tweets from everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
And I was reading through them after that phone call from my friend for about 10 minutes. We still hadn't taken off. I sat there completely in a cold sweat. Shocked. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to do anything in that moment. I just wanted to sit in silence. I finally picked up the phone and texted Jesse, and I knew he was on the plane already in the air before me. And I texted him.
Oh, wait, hold on. My bad. Alright.
And he didn't know how to feel either. It was as if this force hit you so hard, you didn't know how to react. I literally sat on the plane with the Wi-Fi as we finally took off, and I was reading all these different stories about Bray Wyatt and reminiscing about Bray Wyatt. I just, in that moment, I couldn't believe what I was reading. I even said as much on social media. I didn't really know what I was reading at that point. I sat there and I reminisced, and I was thinking about how we just read reports that he was on his way back, how he was set to be cleared, how WWE had plans for him in September. They had plans for him. And then the weekend of the biggest wrestling show of all time, he's gone. In the same week, Terry Funk passed away. Back-to-back days, Funk and Wyatt gone. Some people were calling it the worst wrestling week maybe ever. I'm not going to sit here and dwell on the creative aspect of Bray Wyatt. You guys know where I fall into that category. You guys know that we've discussed it so many times. The creative for Bray Wyatt is a non-issue right now. If there was one guy that we wanted to see succeed in WWE, it was Bray Wyatt. There were so many people like me in the wrestling community who simply wanted to see him succeed because we've been through the years and years and years of terrible booking, of mishandling of his character, stop and start pushes, bringing him to a point and then breaking him down, his creativity reaching an all-time high, and then the powers that be take that because they can't let someone who has the creative genius like Wyndham take control and get ahead on his own. They need to take over everything that he's doing and mold it in the way that they want. It never really ended up the way that we all visualize it, fan base. Wyndham, in my honest opinion, one of the most untapped creative minds in the history of the business. I could just tell that from what he's done, the man just had a passion for telling a story, losing himself in what his vision was, and he wanted to leave a legacy. That's the only thing that mattered to him. Championships, 5-star matches, that shit never really meant anything to him, ever. I don't know why they didn't let him wrestle, because the guy can clearly wrestle. But that was never really what he wanted to do. That's not really what he wanted to build his legacy off of. He wanted people to remember him by the way he came off on television, his mannerisms, his creativity, the characters, out there, just shit that you don't normally see on a pro wrestling show storyline. He wanted to suck you in. He wanted to leave you talking about what he's doing well after it had been over. Cryptic messages. He had fun stringing us along. He had fun knowing that he basically had the whole world in his hands. He had all of his fans basically eating out of the palm of his hands. That's the part I'm going to miss most. That's the part I'm going to miss. And that's the part that really is going to get overlooked in this, because at the end of the day, the creative part of Bray Wyatt was never really tapped into. They gave him a platform. They didn't really give him the ball to let him run to the end of the field. They didn't let him score. I'm actually still in shock after the news that broke. I don't really I don't really digest how Bray, 36 years old, gone, and Brody Lee, gone, so young, leaving behind children. Bray had 2 children with JoJo, and 2 children from a previous marriage. He had 4 children in total. We all know Brody Lee and what he left behind. Amanda has been such a vital part of AEW, has been supported so heavily by Tony Khan and the AEW family, and -1 has got a job waiting for him if he wants to remain in the wrestling business when he turns 18. Gone at such a young age, they had their whole lives ahead of them. And at their age, it's amazing how much of an impact Bray Wyatt made at the age of 36. Look at the impact that Bray Wyatt made at the age of 36.
Yeah.
You did not see or hear anything negative. You didn't hear one bad thing about what Wyndham did. In all the years he came up from developmental through NXT, finally setting himself with a proper gimmick with the Wyatt family. And then moving on to what he did with the Fiend and what we saw of him with the whole Uncle Howdy story and his brother Bo Dallas. You never heard one negative thing about Wyndham Rotunda. Only positivity. How many people that he walked into the locker room with, his glowing attitude, how he embraced everybody, how he gave back to everybody, how loved he was, and how much love he gave back to everybody. I never seen this much outpouring of love since Brody Lee. It's just crazy. It's crazy and it's creepy at the same time. That both are honestly, I can't get over it. How both are just gone. And how their paths are so similar. I asked people on social media what their favorite Bray Wyatt moment was. We could sit here and make a 1-hour video on Bray Wyatt's career, why it should have worked, why it didn't work, the whole creative aspect of it, what went wrong, what Vince did wrong, how the Fiend ended up being not exactly the way his fan base wanted it to be, the whole Alexa Bliss situation. We can make a whole entire video out of that. But Wyndham, with the Wyatt family, the original Wyatt family, Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, that's what really drew me to be a Bray Wyatt fan. That was one of my favorite gimmicks in all of NXT. And it transitioned so well to the main roster. And a lot of you guys, you look at Wyndham and you see that Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt. I love the influence that he took from Waylon Mercy and Jake the Snake Roberts and everything that he did. Everything. He made it his own. He made that work. I love the way he cut a promo. I love the way he went in there and he worked stiff. Everything that he did, everything that he said, was translated so beautifully on the main roster. A lot of people are going to reference the Shield versus the Wyatt family as their favorite moment. One of the best 6-man tag team matches that WWE has ever produced.
Yeah.
I remember when I watched Monday Night Raw, both teams standing on the apron. And on the go-home show to that specific pay-per-view in which they did wrestle each other. They didn't even say anything. They didn't touch. They just stood there. And the crowd was chanting, "Holy shit." Same thing happened with the pay-per-view. A lot of people are going to reference that as their favorite Bray Wyatt moment.
Yeah,
I got 2 moments that are going to live with me for as long as I am doing this.
and I do love how they did it with the Shield and the Wyatt family. How they booked it, how they protected both guys. It was a fantastic match at Elimination Chamber in 2014. and the Wyatt family won, and that gave them momentum going into WrestleMania. The Shield was already over. They already had them over. They were already over. They were in the company longer before the Wyatt family even got there. It was the Wyatt family's time to get over, and that was a great six-man tag.
To you guys on this channel. One is the Daniel Bryan situation and Bryan chasing the world championship and Bryan battling the machine and the corporation per se. Wyatt had enslaved and took control of Daniel Bryan. Bryan, in Providence, Rhode Island, broke free of the Wyatt stranglehold, shed that jumpsuit inside a steel cage for Bray Wyatt, and basically had the whole crowd eating out of the palm of his hands. You know, you talk about goosebumps and a goosebump type moment. Daniel Bryan sitting on top of that steel cage, Daniel Bryan in the cage doing a yes chant, and basically everybody in that arena doing it in unison with him, in sync with Bryan as he was doing it, was one of the greatest moments that show has ever seen. The match that they had at the 2014 Royal Rumble. How many people told me Bray Wyatt can't wrestle? Bray Wyatt can wrestle.
Yeah.
Now he's in there with Bryan, and Bryan is a world-class athlete, but I mean, Bray Wyatt held his own. Bray Wyatt and Bryan may be the best thing that Bryan and Wyatt have done, you know, with each other. That. Bray Wyatt, you want to ask people and get their opinion on who's Bray Wyatt's greatest rivals? Probably Daniel Bryan. Had a great match with him in the 2014 Royal Rumble as Wyatt family Bray Wyatt, and he did the same thing as The Fiend in a trap match. And he gave Bryan a hell of a match then. The fucking mascot. That's one of the greatest moments in Monday Night Raw history. Bray Wyatt gave Daniel Bryan one of the most memorable moments of his career. And vice versa. The storyline with Randy Orton and Luke Harper, where Bray Wyatt won the WWE Championship in the Elimination Chamber by beating John Cena and AJ Styles in that same Elimination Chamber, only to do the same thing the following week on Smackdown. A lot of people look at that as being Bray Wyatt's greatest moment. It's his first World Championship. Why would it not be? Did anybody ever think that Vince McMahon would give Bray Wyatt the WWE Championship? Nobody. They let him run with it. That storyline was on its way to being epic in its own right. WWE dropped the ball. They never really let that storyline play out the way that they needed. And again, I say creepy that both Brody and Bray Wyatt aren't here anymore. Brody should have took that title from Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. That's the way that storyline should have ended. It ended up being Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and the creative did not do that storyline justice.
Yeah.
Randy Orton ended up dropping the WWE Championship to Jinder Mahal, and Bray Wyatt was looked at as an afterthought, and that entire storyline just went goodbye.
Yeah. That entire storyline was wasted because they didn't. Because WWE never looked at Bray Wyatt, the world champion, to be the guy that could be a champion. He should have been champion throughout that entire year of 2017. There was no reason for him to drop it to Randy Orton. It made no sense. He had to bury Bray Wyatt. Randy Orton was a transitional champion. He dropped it to Jinder Mahal and would kill SmackDown. One of the worst eras in SmackDown history. One of the worst every time reigns on the modern era with that Jinder Mahal title reign. No one looked at Jinder Mahal and what GM. He was a 7-year loser. He was a jobber. One of the worst time of all time. Bray Wyatt should retain, or they should have Luke Harper in that match, making a triple threat match at WrestleMania 33. Would have made that match a lot better than what it was. Luke Harper was a major factor in the storyline. It would have made sense if he won the WWE title and give Luke Harper. But Vince McMahon and creative didn't see Luke Harper as a world champion, as a guy that can run the company. They didn't.
WWE fucked that one up.
Yeah, they did.
So much could have been done to make that one of the best things that Smackdown has ever seen.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it. And that's just one of the many injustices with the creative that Bray Wyatt had to be straddled on the main roster. Then we get Bray Wyatt doing the Fiend, and I know everybody loved the Fiend. I know a lot of people are going to reference that first entrance that we've seen from the Fiend at SummerSlam against Finn Balor. It was amazing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not. It was great. I actually preferred his return at Extreme Rules last year, more so than the Fiend debut. It was more of a genuine reaction. It was more of a, hey, this is Wyndham. Wyndham is back. That first promo that Wyndham cut on SmackDown following his epic return at Extreme Rules was the Wyndham that I wanted to see from this point on WWE television because they humanized him. They gave him a microphone and he was just himself. It brought me back to the days of the Wyatt family and why we fell in love with Wyndham in the first place. Again, WWE started off hot with Bray Wyatt, and they didn't really do much of anything else. And that storyline with LA Knight made LA Knight more than it did Bray Wyatt. And again, it's eerie and creepy that we're all cheering for LA Knight, and the last person that was in the ring with Bray Wyatt was LA Knight. I'm still in shock of the entire thing. And again, you know, I could sit here and talk about Bray Wyatt's ups and downs in his career and what he was supposed to do coming back. You know, we talked about how it was not supposed to be Bobby Lashley, but it was supposed to be Bobby Lashley because Vince McMahon wanted it. WWE had a creative monster in Wyndham, and they didn't tap into that. And a lot of people, they were upset about the lack of story. They were upset about the lack of vision that we know Wyndham had that wasn't portrayed on television. A lot of people were upset at WWE for not allowing him to be who he needed to be. But at the end of the day, all of it is just too big. Wyndham leaves behind 4 children. Wyndham leaves behind his wife, JoJo. Wyndham leaves behind an entire locker room that loved this man dearly.
Yeah.
Not one negative thing was said about this man in that locker room. Not one. Everybody's still in shock. Everybody is hoping that it's not real, that we'll wake up from this. Ha ha ha, we're trolling you. It's all part of the storyline. It's not. This is real life. Wyndham is now gone at 36 years old.
Very young.
Sean Ross Sapp reported that Wyndham had COVID complications. That was the reason why he was taken off television and was away from WWE since February. He missed WrestleMania, and he didn't really do much after that. And there were rumors of him coming back, him being better, and him getting clearance, and them having plans for him. And Sapp reported that the passing was due to a heart attack because of previous COVID complications. People are going to make that into a story in itself. Let them go out there and make a fool of themselves. The wrestling world lost one of the greatest minds that we've seen in recent memory. The wrestling world lost somebody that had the entire community fighting for him to be where he needed to be. The unwavering support that he had, I don't think Wyndham really fully grasped how many people were on his side. And I know he struggled with losing Brody, and I know he struggled with self-confidence and depression, and WWE more than likely making fun of his weight and driving him to lose that passion in the first place.
Nothing to say
Oh, hold on. There's a commercial.
But the amount of love that the man had, I mean, to see it all online in the last 48 hours is, it's sad, but it's beautiful at the same time. And all he ever wanted to do was leave a legacy. I genuinely think he did leave behind a legacy, and I genuinely do think that people who want to get started in this business and become a character on television and do this thing that we all love called pro wrestling, I do think that Wyndham will be looked at as an influence moving forward by a lot of people who want to join and be a part of this industry that we all love. I do. He did leave behind that influence, and I hope he knows that. I feel for his family. I feel for the fans. I feel for the WWE who has to go out there and change their plans now for WWE Smackdown, where they changed plans and they made it tonight into a tribute show, is what I last read. I won't be watching it because obviously I'm in a different time zone, but I will catch up with it at some point because I genuinely want to see how WWE honors Bray Wyatt, and he deserves every bit of it. On a weekend where we celebrate AEW having All In and the success of AEW, it comes with a price because we lost Wyndham. But I want you guys to know that everybody felt this very hard. Everybody. Family, friends, everybody in the industry, everybody felt this devastating blow by losing him this past week. And on a weekend where we're supposed to be celebrating, I want you guys to do me a favor. I want you to celebrate, but I also want you to think about your loved ones, and I want you to think how precious life is, because something like this, every time it happens, everybody says the same thing. You know, call up a loved one, tell them that you love them, check in on them frequently. You never know what the future holds. You never know what's going to happen. Life is so precious and fragile, things can change in the snap of a finger. So go and do that. And this was yet another wake-up call for you guys to go and do that. But I want you guys to try and celebrate and put on a smile, because this is a weekend where everybody should come together. Moments like this should bring people together to celebrate the thing that we love, and that's pro wrestling. Because Wyndham would have wanted that too. I thank you guys for the support. I thank you guys for sticking with me. I know this is a little bit different. I don't have my usual setup. I mean, I had to travel overseas. I got my camera. I got my laptop. I'm going to try and get this up to you guys. Jesse and I are going to be doing All In and the post show at a beautiful podcast studio. Hopefully that comes off the way that it needs to. And whatever else happens this week, whether it's wrestling news, whether it's news or rumors going into All In, I'll have you guys covered some way or another, man, just like this. Because even though I'm here, the work never stops. It never stops. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to meet you guys. I'm happy to celebrate with you as we venture to Wembley for All In. And I thank you guys for all of the love and support that you give me and this channel. I really do. I love you guys. And thoughts and prayers go out to Wyndham and his family. We lost someone at 36 years old, man, way too young. Well before he ever hit his feet. Well before he did anything that we know he was capable of. Like, we knew he could be great. We all wanted him to be at that level. And it's sad that we're not going to get to see him. So thoughts and prayers go out to Wyndham. We love him. I love you guys, and I will keep you guys updated on everything that's happening here in the United Kingdom right here on Office Reds. Hopefully I see you guys in the meet and greet on Saturday night. Make sure you guys come out to All Bar 1 at Waterloo, and I will see those who are in the United Kingdom to celebrate All In weekend with me. Hopefully I'll see you there with Jesse celebrating Office Reds. Until then, guys, take care. I love you. And I will see you guys tomorrow at the meet and greet, and then Sunday at All In for AEW. I'll talk to you guys later.
That was a very, very, very long video. Well, now I can talk about SmackDown. Like I said on SmackDown, they made some big changes. They made a lot to the show. Very, very big changes on SmackDown. They changed a few matches on the show, by the way. So after the Bray Wyatt tribute, after the 10th episode, we got Rey Mysterio versus Grayson Waller in a non-title match. It was a decent match. So Rey Mysterio beat Grayson Waller in a non-title match. Ray tried to shut up Grayson Waller. Austin Theory came out and tapped them, said it was there. And yeah, that was it. Now, that they did announce next week for SmackDown, which is the goal show for Payback next week. Rey Mysterio and Santo versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller next week in a tag team match. As I said earlier, we did get Cody Rhodes pays only to Terry Funk. He came out, and then they did the tag team match with the Brawling Brutes and the Street Boys and a hardcore match. That was also really good. And then we got Io Sky defending the Orange Championship against Zelina Vega. The match went about 7 or 8 minutes. Decent, whatever. The match was decent. Io Sky retained, and that was it. We did get LA Knight. LA Knight came out. He wrestled Finn Balor in the main event. LA Knight gives a toughen tribute to Bray Wyatt. He showed him respect. He actually cut a pretty decent promo here. And then he had his match with Finn Balor. That was also pretty good. Finn Balor had lost a lot of matches lately, but it lost no hurt Finn Balor. It was only here. This SmackDown was to tribute Bray Wyatt. It was all for him. It was for Bray Wyatt. So he beat Finn Balor tonight, and as I said earlier in the video, that when the show went out the year, they showed the picture of Bray Wyatt standing in the middle of the ring, and then they showed his lantern in the middle of the ring, and we saw the smoke, and people chanting "Thank you, Wyatt." Yeah. Alright. Guess I'll end the video. I'll end the video. Until next time, I will do AEW Collision. Make sure you guys make sure you guys hit that like button, leave a comment, please subscribe to my channel. My video is sponsored by JD from New York, Solomon the Sound Off, Fightful Pro Wrestling, the Wrestle Talk Podcast, Wrestling Inc., the Post Wrestling. I got more than ways to hit that like button. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. It was a very sad day. It's been sad for the past 2 days, past 3 days really, after what just happened. I gotta end the video. I made the video long enough. Thank you for watching.